Welcome to Your Overthinking It, which brings a unique perspective of history and culture every Sunday. I'm Carrie Kaufman, and I'm the one who overthinks a lot, actually. This week, I want to talk about some testimony that happened on the Hill. But first, I want to tell you a story about me. In 2018, I got a chance to interview Charlie Sykes for Wisconsin Public Radio. Charlie Sykes, as we know, used to be a really big conservative talk show host. He was very much neoliberal, and he was very much, we don't give handouts to people, and he very much wanted to keep Republicans in line, right? No taxes, no new taxes. And then in 2016, he interviewed Donald Trump, and he came away terrified, actually, and was like, we cannot elect this man. And then he became kind of the darling of the rest of us who did not listen to or subscribe to ultra-conservative talk radio. So in 2018, I had the opportunity to interview him, and it was really exciting. I mean, Charlie Sykes, he was the first never Trumper. He pretty much coined the term never Trumper. And it was a good interview. It was really fun. I was really proud of it. And said goodbye to him. And the next person in the studio that day was a young woman who was an office holder, I believe, in Madison. She was a Democrat. She was very progressive, actually. And I was still kind of like, on a high from interviewing Charlie Sykes and doing it pretty well. And she kind of looked at me side-eye, but she kept her gaze with me and said, okay, I'm really glad that he's changed, but he did some really bad things. He damaged people. And I just kind of sat back and knew that I had just been put in my place. And I was wholly, wholly grateful for having been put in my place. I'm going to show you a video of Peter Carr. Peter Carr used to be a spokesperson in the Justice Department. First, he worked for Orrin Hatch, and who was a senator from Utah, and then he moved on to the Justice Department, appointed as a spokesperson by George W. Bush, and then moved on to be a career employee when Obama came along. This is his testimony to Democratic senators who held an off-the-books hearing this week. Peter Carr.
It was traumatic. When you choose to devote your life to public service, you make a lot of sacrifices in your career, and your career, it's part of my identity, right? Like, I am a Justice Department person. And so when that's taken away from you, number one, that it's very hard. But number two, I'm the father of 4 children, and my family relies on my income, and all of a sudden I don't have it. I was not offered severance at the time. My health insurance is gone. My wife had just been recently diagnosed with a life-changing diagnosis. Yeah. She needed health care. I don't have it anymore. We had to scramble and figure out how we were going to do that. It's a traumatic experience for people to go through. And I know many people who have experienced this. And it's a struggle to find a job after.
And here's 20 seconds of Carr's actual testimony before the video you just saw.
Within the first weeks, the new administration terminated the prosecutors who worked in the special counsel's office, and also those who handled January 6 prosecutions. These terminations were traumatic for employees throughout the department, because never before had career employees been fired simply because of their case assignments.
So now I want to switch gears a little bit. Let's go to Hollywood with younger George Clooney and Anna Kendrick.
Although I wish I were here with better news. The fact is that you and I are sitting here today because this will be your last week of employment at this company.
Why me?
What am I supposed to do now?
Am I supposed to feel better that I'm not the only one losing my job?
This is ridiculous. I have been a fine employee for over 10 years, and this is the way you treat me.
How you sleep at night, man? Huh? How's your family? They sleeping well at night? Electricity still on? Heat still on? Refrigerator full of food? Gas tank full of gas? Going Chuck E. Cheese this weekend or something? Not me. No, my kids, we're not gonna do anything.
This is what I get in return for 30 years of service for my company, and they send some yo-yo like you in here to try to tell me that I'm out of a job. They should be telling you you're out of a job.
You have a lot of gall coming in here and firing your #1 producer, and then you're gonna go home tomorrow and make more money than you've ever made in your life, and I'm gonna go home without a paycheck. Fuck you.
I guess you leave me dumbfounded. I don't know where this is coming from. How am I supposed to go back as a man and explain this to my wife that I lost my job?
I can't afford to be unemployed. I have a house payment. I have children.
I don't know how you can live with yourself, but I'm sure that you'll find a way while the rest of us are suffering.
That was a montage from the 2009 film Up in the Air, in which Clooney's character travels around the country firing people who have had their companies taken over by hedge funds or merged with rival corporations. I think it's important to note here that all of the people that you saw in this montage, except Clooney and Kendrick, were not actors. They were real people who director Jason Reitman found because he wanted authenticity in the story. These were raw and real emotions coming from real people whose jobs had just been pulled out from under them, because remember, this was 2009. I've often watched that clip and wondered how many of these people became MAGA. The book for the film Up in the Air was written in 2001, which was around the same time that Peter Carr started working for one of the most conservative, neoliberal, and downright nasty senators in Congress. Here's Hatch speaking to Clarence Thomas after he heard Anita Hill's testimony in 1991.
Ever read this book?
No.
The Exorcist?
No, Senator.
Ever see the movie?
I've seen only the scene with the bed flapping.
You said you never did say this. Who has put pubic hair on my coke? You never did talk to her about Long Dong Silver. I submit those things were found. On page 70 of this particular version of The Exorcist, "Oh, Burks," sighed Sharon. In a guarded tone, she described an encounter between the senator and the director. Dennings had remarked to him in passing, said Sharon, that there appeared to be, quote, an alien pubic hair floating around in my gin, unquote. And she would have us believe that you were saying these things because you wanted to date her?
I would posit that date is not quite the right word here, but we'll leave that alone. Hatch also told the press in 2009 that the Affordable Care Act was the stupidest dumbass bill I've ever seen. I do have video for that, but it's CNN video, and it's got like music over it, and I just didn't want to have to deal with stripping the music out. We don't have to imagine Carr and his colleagues and how they feel about being purged from the Justice Department, because we just watched it. We just watched it in a movie that was made in 2009, 27 years ago? 17 years ago. 17 years ago, sorry. Math, that's fun. We've all experienced it. Many of us have experienced it. Many of us know what it is to have the rug pulled out from under us. And I totally feel for Carr. He seems like a really nice guy, actually. I feel for his wife, who had this diagnosis, whatever the diagnosis was, and didn't have health insurance because the health insurance was tied to his job, not just something that the government provides because it is a right for all people to have health insurance. This was the milieu that Peter Carr built his career in. And he said during this hearing that he was still a Republican. So I do wonder, is he fiscally conservative? Because fiscally conservative means we don't like health care. It means he agrees with his former boss that the ACA was the stupidest, dumbass bill he's ever seen. When I think the ACA didn't go far enough. It was a Republican marketplace-driven bill. So I went into, in the written portion of this, I went into how many journalists didn't get this either, right? Like how Carr and the journalists who cover him represent this DC bubble in which they never realized what the rest of us were going through during the Great Recession that started in 2008. They never realized what the rest of us felt as we suddenly had our jobs taken from us because of the deregulation that happened under both Reagan and Clinton. And suddenly our jobs didn't exist anymore. They were in their own bubble. They had their own careers. And I feel like if somebody, like our journalists, our legacy journalists spent more time creating a scandal out of a 23-year-old intern who was sexually assaulted by her boss than they did creating a scandal out of the end of Glass-Steagall, which was done by that same boss, taking away the barriers between boring banking and very, very risky investments, which is what got us to the 2008 recession. So here's my thing. I want all of us to be able to do better. We need people to look at us sideways and tell us that we shouldn't be so proud of ourselves, that we all need to see beyond the lives that we have that may be safe, but will not stay safe if we keep going down that road. I want to tell Peter Carr that I'm really proud of him for lifting himself up and getting a good job with a bunch of other former Justice Department officials to fight the Trump administration. I just wish there had been more people in his class who had decided to fight this long before Trump became a thing. And that's all pretty much I have to say. Keep reading your Overthinking It. Thank you to all the new subscribers. My God, Heather Cox Richardson is like, I'm quoting Carrie Kaufman, and suddenly my subscription rates have more than doubled. So thank you to Heather, and thank you to all of the new subscribers. I hope I do well by you. I don't always do videos, but this one, the written portion is laden with a lot of, here's a video here, here's a video here. So I figured I'd just make it one solid video. You can watch this or read the written portion, doesn't really matter. Your Overthinking It is pretty much just my life, and I share it with you. Have a great week, everybody.